Welcome back to our IGCSE Biology Revision Series. Today we are covering Chapter 12, Respiration, one of the most fundamental processes keeping you alive right now. Every single cell in your body is releasing energy through respiration at this very moment. By the end of this video, you will understand exactly how your cells release energy, why oxygen is so important, and what happens when oxygen isn't available. This is crucial knowledge for your IGCSE exams. So let's dive in. First up, let's clear a massive misconception. Respiration is not the same as breathing. Breathing is the physical movement of air in and out of your lungs, that is, inhaling and exhaling. Respiration is a chemical process that happens inside every living cell. It's how cells break down the nutrient molecules, like glucose, to release energy. Here's the key definition you must know. Respiration is the chemical reactions in cells that break down nutrient molecules like glucose to release energy. This energy isn't released as one big explosion. It's released gradually and stored in molecules called ATP, adenosine triphosphate. Think of ATP as the rechargeable energy batteries that power all the cellular activities. Remember, all living things respire: plants, animals, fungi, bacteria, even when they are not moving. Respiration happens 24/7 in every living cell. Now, let's answer a crucial question. Why do we need this energy? What are cells actually using it for? You need to know 7 main uses of energy in living organisms. The first one is the muscle contraction. Every movement you make, from running a marathon to blinking your eyes, it requires energy. Muscle cells use ATP to slide protein filaments past each other, causing contraction. Second is for protein synthesis. Your cells are constantly building new proteins for growth, repair, making enzymes and antibodies. Linking amino acids together to protein chains requires energy at every step. Third is the cell division. When cells divide for growth or repair, they need energy to replicate their DNA, separate the chromosomes, and physically split into two cells. This is an incredible energy intensive process. We will learn more about cell division in the upcoming chapters. Fourth is the active transport. Remember from chapter 3, active transport moves substances against their concentration gradient, that is, from low to high concentration, using energy. This is like pushing a ball uphill, so it requires energy input. Fifth, we have the growth. Growth combines many processes: cell division, protein synthesis, and more. Whether you're a growing teenager or a germinating seed, energy from respiration powers development. Sixth, we have the passage of nerve impulses. Your nervous system constantly sends electrical signals throughout your body. Generating and transmitting these nerve impulses requires energy to pump ions across nerve cell membranes. Lastly, we have the maintenance of a constant body temperature. If you are a mammal or a bird, that is a warm-blooded animal, you maintain a constant body temperature regardless of your surroundings. And this requires a lots of energy. About 60 to 70% of your resting energy goes to producing heat. Remember these 7 uses. They are frequently tested in exams. A good memory trick to remember is MPCGATE, or you can call it MPC gate, for muscle contraction, protein synthesis, cell division, growth, active transport, temperature maintenance, and nerve impulses. Now let's look at the main type of respiration: aerobic respiration. Aerobic respiration is a chemical reaction in cells that use oxygen to break down nutrient molecules to release energy. The word aerobic means with oxygen, and this is the most efficient way to release energy from glucose. Where does this happen? Aerobic respiration primarily occurs in the mitochondria, often called the powerhouse of the cell. Look at any electron microscope image of mitochondrion, and you will see its folded inner membranes, and these provide a high surface area for the chemical reactions to occur. The word equation, and you must remember this: glucose plus oxygen creates carbon dioxide plus water plus energy. Let me break down what's happening. Glucose, which is C6H12O6, is a fuel, usually from the food you eat. Oxygen comes from the air you breathe and is absorbed through gas exchange. Carbon dioxide is the waste product that must be removed, and water is produced as a byproduct. Energy is released gradually and stored in ATP. For supplement or extended students, you need to remember the balanced chemical equation. This is C6H12O6 plus 6O2 gives 6CO2 plus 6H2O. One molecule of glucose releases about 2880 kilojoules of energy through aerobic respiration. That's enough energy to keep a 60-watt bulb running for about 13 hours. However, not all this energy is captured in ATP. About 40% is captured for useful work, while 60% is released as heat, which helps maintain the body temperature. Why is oxygen essential? Oxygen acts as a final electron acceptor in the respiration process. Without it, the whole system backs up and stops. And this is why we can only hold our breath for a few minutes. Our cells desperately need that continuous oxygen supply. But what happens when oxygen isn't available? And that's where anaerobic respiration comes in. Anaerobic respiration is the chemical reactions in cells that break down nutrient molecules to release energy without using oxygen. The word anaerobic means without oxygen. And when does this happen? Anaerobic respiration kicks in during intense exercise when your muscles can't get oxygen fast enough, or in environments where oxygen is limited or absent. There are two types of anaerobic respiration you need to know, and they produce different products. The first type is the anaerobic respiration in mammals, like humans. When you're exercising intensely, sprinting, lifting heavy weights, etc., your muscle cells may not receive oxygen fast enough, so they switch to anaerobic respiration. The word equation for the anaerobic respiration occurring in muscle cells is as follows. Glucose gives lactic acid plus small amount of energy. So the key point here is it produces lactic acid as the waste product and releases far less energy than aerobic respiration, only about 150 kilojoules per glucose molecule. That's about only 5% as efficient. And lactic acid builds up in muscles, causing that burning sensation of fatigue. The lactic acid must be broken down later when oxygen becomes available, and this is called paying oxygen debt. We will learn more this in depth in the next slide. The second type is the anaerobic respiration in yeast and plants. Yeast and some plant cells use a different type of anaerobic respiration called fermentation. The word equation is as follows. Glucose gives ethanol plus carbon dioxide and a small amount of energy. So the key points here are it produces ethanol, an alcohol, and carbon dioxide as waste products, and also releases much less energy than aerobic respiration. And this is the basis of making alcoholic drinks like beer and wine, or making the bread rise, with CO2 gas creating bubbles in the dough. We'll learn more about the uses of the ethanol in the last chapter of this syllabus. For extended students, They need to know the balanced chemical equation of the anaerobic respiration occurring in each cells. This is given as follows. C6H12O6, that is glucose, produces C2H5OH, that is ethanol, plus CO2 plus a small amount of energy. The last topic for today is oxygen debt. Oxygen debt occurs when there is a lack of oxygen when it is demanding by the body cells. At this stage, the muscle starts performing anaerobic respiration, where we know that it makes lactic acid, which then needs to be broken down into carbon dioxide and water when there is enough oxygen present afterwards, and this occurs in the liver. Once it has been recovered, the body returns back to normal and aerobic respiration takes the dominance. You need to be able to identify the oxygen debt in graphs and state whether there is an oxygen deficit or an oxygen debt, depending on the graph's curve. And that's chapter 12, respiration. Remember, this process is happening in trillions of your cells, right now, keeping you alive and powering every thought and movement. Make sure you can define all types of respiration, including aerobic and anaerobic respiration. List and explain the 7 uses of energy. Write all 3 equations from memory. And explain the differences between aerobic and anaerobic respiration. The thumb rule is that practice makes perfect, especially with those equations and comparisons. If this video helped you understand respiration, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more IGCSE content. Drop any questions in the comments below. Good luck with your revision, and remember, respiration never stops, even when you're sleeping. See you in the next chapter.